Step into the fascinating world of Alien Agenda with Gene P. Abel as your guide. Let's explore UFOs, ancient drawings, and mysterious symbols from across time. Each piece of evidence reveals thrilling stories that unearths the mysteries surrounding extraterrestrial existence. Gene invites you to wonder, are we the only ones in the universe? Get ready for exciting adventures and big questions. Welcome to the search for the truth about extraterrestrial beings. Here's Colonel Gene.
Hi, folks. This is Colonel Gene. We want to get started with the next edition of our podcast, Alien Agenda with Gene P. If you recall, I told you last session about a number of bogus sightings and claims. One of the most famous is the one on the cathedral in Spain. What I do when I see something either on television or read an article about UFOs and aliens or extraterrestrials sightings is I try to find some corroborating evidence from other sources to confirm or try to make more clear what I have seen. I really suggest that's a way of you looking at some of the things that we're talking about and some of the things that you may see elsewhere to try and verify the information and try to avoid jumping to conclusions because, as I said, there is a lot of that in looking at the UFO alien subject matter. I personally have never been fortunate enough to actually see a UFO, but recently I had a conversation with the choir director at my church. And I mentioned that I have a podcast and that I'm also in the process of completing another book about UFOs. And she said that was interesting because when she was in her early 20s, she was driving in a car and saw a craft, a light above her car, stationary. She was startled by it and pulled over to the side of the road to watch this thing to see what it was. She said it stayed there motionless. It didn't make any noise. It didn't seem to have any vapor trail or anything else. And all of a sudden, she said, I blinked my eye and the thing took off and disappeared. Now, that's the first person that I have personally spoken with that I know well who has claimed that they saw a UFO. And certainly her description of the way in which this spacecraft or object behaved is very similar to others that I have seen and that we will be talking about in the near future. Today, what I want to do is try to take a look at some information and evidence that would not be corrupted by idea of publicity or money or things like that. What I'm talking about is hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, cave paintings that appear all over the world. These things are ancient. Some could be as much as 100,000 years old. These appear in caves, they appear on cliffs, and there are objects that have been carved that look very much like what we think of as aliens, spaceships. Some of these drawings, some of these figures that were created by our ancestors show strange-looking creatures with large heads, big eyes, 6 fingers, and in some cases they even seem to be dressed in something like the spacesuits that we've used when we went to the moon and our astronauts. One such area is in northwest Australia, and it's called Wandjana cave paintings. These cave paintings show creatures with ghost-like heads, no mouths, and extremely large faces. Scientists believe that these paintings, believe it or not, could be 100,000 years old. Certainly, our ancestors that far back must have been highly impressed with what they saw. To have painted or carved these images in caves and on walls, I doubt very much whether they were interested in trying to fool someone, but just trying to depict what they saw. In India, near a town called Charamaya, they found drawings that looked like disc-shaped spaceships. These drawings, the scientists believe, are at least 10,000 years old. These paintings have figures holding strange-like objects and are similar to images found in North Africa near Libya called Tassali. These paintings are believed to be at least 8,000 years old, and they depict strange-looking figures holding a weapon-like objects in their hands. There are literally thousands, tens of thousands of these drawings and carvings all over the world. There are some in this country. There are in China. They're in Great Britain. They're everywhere. And there's a great similarity between the drawings and the cave paintings for all of these. That is, they depict strange-looking creatures with elongated heads, big eyes, and spacesuits that very much, as I said, appear like the ones that our astronauts wore on their trips to the moon. They also depict things flying in the air that look very much like the flying saucers or triangular-shaped craft that so many have reported seeing in modern times. Again, it's very hard to disbelieve that what these ancestors of ours depicted and drew on the caves are probably not what they actually saw. They probably looked at these things, were astounded by their appearance and the fact that they were flying in the air, and wanted to record these in caves and on cliffs. In Brazil, scientists have located a huge rock, and it's been called the Aniga stone. This large stone is covered with strange symbols, and to date, our scientists have been unable to decipher what exactly is being recorded on that stone. Some of it looks like hieroglyphs in Egypt or in other areas, but it's not the same. It's different. And so far as I say, they have been trying to uncover what has been said or written on this stone. One of the things that they've begun using is artificial intelligence. Now, we've heard a lot about that, and I know there's some people think that it's dangerous, and it may be, but scientists are trying to employ artificial intelligence to help decipher some of the symbols that have been found on the Enigma stone, as well as in other locations throughout the world where they found writing that just does not appear to be anything exactly like anything they've seen in other countries or other places. There's also the research that is going on with a thing called a quantum computer. If the quantum computer is perfected and can be linked with the artificial intelligence, it may be that we will be able to uncover the meanings of some of these symbols and learn a lot more about the possibility of aliens visiting Earth. Again, we will look in the future episodes about other things, but I really believe that this look back into our ancient past and observe what we believe our ancestors saw is certainly important evidence that we have been and are being visited by extraterrestrials. Please tell your friends about my podcast. I invite people that have had personal experience, or even people who believe they may have been abducted by aliens, to contact my publicist, Deborah Wallace. Her email is deborah@pcm.agency. And we'd be happy to have you appear with me and be interviewed to give your firsthand information. See you next time, or talk with you next time, I should say. I hope you are well. And this is Colonel Gene, pausing our journey to learn if we are alone or if we are not. Thank you.